Hello, Pat.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I would just like to say, Angry Albert, who was on before, or whatever you called him, I think he has a good point there. We've lived in these countries, and we've worked with these people, and you're so
What
arrogant.
countries, what people?
Saudi Arabia,
I don't actually recall talking to anybody called Albert this evening,
Oh,
and
yes,
I don't
you
recall
did.
talking...
Oh, yes, you did.
Well,
And
fine, I said it...
He gave you a real bashing.
What I said was, I don't recall talking to anybody called Albert. I didn't say
I don't know whether
done.
he's called Albert, but you said he was angry or something like that.
I see. It's all right, don't worry. It was when you used the name Albert, it didn't ring any bells. I don't think there was an Albert, however, I'm sure we've had lots of people on that were angry.
We have listened to your programme many times, and quite frankly, you have no idea. He said you'd lived in these countries, have you?
I don't know when anyone said I've lived in some countries, but I've never lived in Saudi Arabia. That's the only one you've mentioned so far.
Well, I'll tell you something.
Well,
you have
what
to
are you going
deal
to tell
with
me?
these people.
Who are these people to which you refer?
The Arabs.
Pat, would you like to... It's very extraordinary, Pat. Would you like to tell me what the pig in hell you're talking about? We don't seem to be making
Yes, I would like to tell you what the pig in hell I'm talking
You seem
about.
to be saying that I've had a conversation...
Arrogant.
Yes, I am arrogant, Pat. There's no doubt about it. You don't need to
You're
think.
so arrogant, and you're supposed to be educated.
Well, who's ever said that, Pat? I haven't.
Well,
I've never claimed an education.
I can gather, you're supposed to be a university bod.
Well, where have you got that from? When have you ever heard me say that?
Pat, like you.
Pat, when have you ever heard me say I've been to university on this programme?
Well, I haven't.
I see. You seem to... Oh, the fellow said. Oh, so you
Yes.
believe our callers, do you, Pat?
No, I can
You
hear
believe
on
what
my
our...
radio, and it's
Yeah, well, turn it off then. It's not my fault you
Turn
don't
it
know the
off,
system.
Barry.
Yes, very good.
Yes.
Pat, why do you believe things that our callers say about me? Why do you believe? I don't actually recall a caller this evening mentioning Saudi Arabia, point one. I don't remember a caller called Albert, point two. I don't remember somebody on this programme this evening or before saying that I've been to university. Pat, I'm not being bullshit. And my illegitimacy is of no business of yours. But, Pat,
I'm sorry.
would you...
No, I don't cast any aspersions on your mother.
Then why use words like bastard?
No, well,
Do you not know what the word means?
If I did that, I am extremely sorry.
Well, you don't have to be sorry.
Bullshit.
I know I'm sorry, but I don't call people bastards. Now, how bullshit are you, Pat?
call them more than that.
More,
put the
less?
telephone down. Anyway,
well, put the telephone down. It'll save me a lot of problem, madam. Goodbye. Now who's the bastard? You're the silly one. How do, Henry?
Hello, Alan.
Yes?
I'd like to talk about the budget. You know,
The budget or the budgie?
the budget.
I see.
I think it was a good budget, really. I mean,
Why do you think it was a good one?
because I'm a single man, see, and my benefit went up, like,
Yes, but so did mine.
Yeah.
I'm a married man.
but they put cigarette. I don't smoke, see, and I'm made up. They put 11 pence on cigarettes
I see.
because I think it's a vulgar habit,
Well, you're absolutely right. It is a vulgar habit.
and I do drink, like, and
I see.
they put nothing on beer, and that was just good.
So you consider that, providing they don't affect you, it's a good budget?
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, man can't ask for more than that. How do, Mark?
Hello, Alan.
Hello, Mark. I suggest you march away with the rest of them, Mark. Hello to whoever Alice said was on Herbert. Good Lord. Hello, Herbert.
Hubert.
Hubert will settle for.
Thank you. I'd like to say, Alan, that I think the royal family are a disgraceful waste of money and a drain.
They don't cost anything.
Pardon?
They don't cost anything.
The royal family?
Yes?
Of course they do.
No, they don't.
We pay the taxes and the rates, and it goes to supporting the royal family and keeping them in pocket and living at Buckingham Palace.
But that helps to create an income in excess of our investment, so they don't cost
You're
anything.
talking about tourism now?
I'm talking about all kinds of different benefits from the royal family. Two main ones. The first one, obviously, is tourism, and the second one is their ability to attract investment in this country by visiting these tin pot countries they go visiting.
Well, I don't know the exact facts, but I'm going to say that I don't think the money that the sort of money you get from tourism and investments is going to be anywhere near.
Well, allow me to tell you,
Is invested that could
then
fund
allow me to tell you,
employment.
Hubert, that you're absolutely right. You do not know the exact facts. The exact facts bear out the opposite that you believe. I give you as an example, if we went out and spent £1,000 million on something, it would sound very, very expensive. But if we then sold it for £2,000 million, it would actually turn out to be a profit and will have cost us nothing. So I'm sorry, you may well see the royal family as being a very expensive, unnecessary commodity, but the reality is that it costs nothing.
What do you mean? It costs something?
No, it costs nothing on the basis of it is a profit-making industry.
The royal family are a profit-making industry. Where do you get your facts from?
I keep saying this. I get them from government statistics.
Government statistics? What sort of government statistics?
We only have one government.
Yeah, but, where exactly, Alan? That's very vague.
The tourist industry, for a start, is the second largest export in Great Britain.
Yeah, that's because they don't export anything, because this country's going well down the slope. They don't export anything more, because it's a real shitty country these days.
Well, in that case...
Red Rose Stereo.
With a name like Hubert, I'd talk filthy.
Make your way to Blackburn Town Centre this Easter. You'll have a great Good Friday taking the family around the major stores. Stop in the centre on Easter Saturday too. There's an egg painting competition for all age groups, and it'll be a laugh a minute watching the children's fancy dress contest. Also in Cobden Court will be the exciting charity fair with fun for all ages. With lots of lovely shops and tempting places to eat, it's just got to be shopping in the centre of Blackburn this Easter, and always. Don't forget, all major stores open on Good Friday, along with a number of smaller retailers.
Some of you may remember my discovery of Qualitatis Nos Frigidatus, better known as quality frozen food at Bennett's. Well, on my return to this massive modern sanctuary of excellence, I find that the species has proliferated. Here we have the most enormous range of frozen food in the north, all carefully selected by Bennett's, much of it prepared on the premises. There's no other freezer centre like it. Bennett's Frozen Food, where shopping's a pleasure, at Kent Street, Preston, behind B&Q.
Bennett's Frozen Food.
I bought my quilt from the Continental Bedding Company, and they had so many to choose from.
Yes, Continental Bedding Company at 210 Church Street, Blackpool, and Preston Open Market. 12.5 tog hollow fibre quilts made for us by one of Lancashire's leading manufacturers and sold with a no-quibble money-back guarantee. Bedding and textiles all at discount prices. Yes, it's worth a look at the Continental Bedding Company, walk round store at 210 Church Street, Blackpool, and Preston Open Market.
Continental Bedding. That's my choice.
How do, Paul? Thank you, Paul. How do, Derek?
Hello, Alan. About this John who rang up before saying smokers should be licensed, and probably that most smokers would agree with it. I'm a smoker myself, and I certainly don't agree with being licensed. And another thing is, if everybody that did smoke were to stop smoking all of a sudden, the government would have to tax something else to make up for the lost revenue.
I'd be happy to pay it, thank you very much, instead of having your exhaled filth in my atmosphere.
Oh, what about factories that...
What about it?
Well,
the factories actually produce something worth having other than the filth.
True. What about drunks then?
I don't approve of drink.
Well,
despite Billy's presence, who approves of it in great quantities. He's just come in to make the brew.
Yeah. I consider myself beaten on that one.
I'm sure you do. I'll do Fred.
Hello.
Yeah.
I've been listening to your programme for a bit.
Fine.
You don't drink. You don't smoke.
That's right.
I'd like to know what you do, Alan. Honest.
Well, allow me to tell you, I don't do it with anybody called Fred.
Thank you.
It's all right. Ta-ra.
Thank you very much.
I'll do Peter.
Hello, Alan.
Yes.
Stop dribbling and shut up.
Certainly. I'll do John.
Hello there. I'd like to talk to you about legalising cannabis.
Go on.
Hi. The bloke who was on before, he seemed to miss the point. It seems to me there's a hierarchy of hard drugs, right? There's all the things that are really harming society, things like heroin, all the rest of it. At the moment, cannabis is illegal, so kids start with that, which doesn't really do any harm. It's never been proven to do any more harm than alcohol. Once they've done that, there's nothing to prevent them going on through LSD, heroin, all the rest of it.
There are all sorts of things to prevent them, but go on.
As such as what?
Well, the illegality of it,
Yes, but the thing is, once they've tried cannabis, which is a soft drug by any stretch of the imagination, they've already gone into illegality, so it doesn't become a barrier.
Of course it does. people who are found in possession or dealing in cannabis receive considerably less as a sentence than those in hard drugs.
Yes, but there's
Well, there is a barrier then. I agree with you. They have crossed a line of absolute. They have become criminal, but that doesn't mean anything, particularly if they were not caught.
And also, I mean, there's the argument that you say they become criminal, but this means you've got an awful lot of people in the country who get labelled criminals purely because of their use of cannabis.
No, they get labelled criminals because they break the law.
By using cannabis, and otherwise they would
How
not
they
break
choose
the
to
law.
do it is irrelevant. They are criminals
Well, it's
because
not
they are not
how they
obeying the
choose to use it.
structured laws of society.
Yes, but is it down what gives society the right?
If a lot of people committed rape, do we say, oh, it's not a crime anymore because there's far too many criminals?
No.
No. So we have to decide whether society wants a particular course of action to be taken. If society does not want that course of action to be taken, it makes it illegal to take that course of action. Anyone that then takes that course of action inevitably is labelled a criminal, assuming, of course, they're caught and convicted, but that goes without saying for the purposes of the conversation. So they become a criminal. Now, the fact that making laws inevitably creates criminals doesn't denigrate the need for law.
It doesn't at all. But if law is something worth having, then we should have good laws. And
well, allow me to suggest to you, John, that if we took a survey, and there's no way I can substantiate this point of view, I agree, but allow me to suggest if we took a survey as to whether cannabis, or whatever name you want to use for it, were to be legal, or should cannabis be legalised, I think the answer would come out no.
Yeah, but it depends how you put these things, doesn't it?
Well, how would you like to put it? You make the question.
Why should it have been made illegal in the first place? I mean,
Irrelevant. You put the question. We have a status quo. I believe if you asked the public at large whether they wanted that status quo to be changed, they would say no.
Well, you brought up the example of rape. I think there's a clear difference that rape harms other people. Rape should be illegal because it's a question of using violence against someone. It infringes on someone else's liberty. By my smoking cannabis, if I choose to do so, I'm not infringing on anyone else's liberty.
You are not infringing on anybody else's liberty, and if there is any harm involved, it is only upon you.
Yeah.
That applies also to smoking, and I want that outlawed. So you're talking to the wrong person, perhaps.
Yeah, but I mean, the state has perhaps some justification in making laws that protect everyone else. I don't think it has any justification in being paternalistic and telling me what I can or cannot do.
It doesn't require to have any justification other than in this democracy of ours, however fallible that democracy is. In this democracy of ours, the people make the decisions ultimately, and if the people want it outlawed, then outlawed it then will be. Indeed, they don't. The people's representatives make those decisions. But as I say, on this occasion, and it's not unique, but it can be rare, on this occasion, I believe the people's representatives are in accord with the views of the people.
But if we feel that democracy is a good thing, then presumably we should have the right, as voters, as individuals, to express our opinions upon it. When was the last time?
You do have the right to express your opinion. You do have the right. Express was the word you chose. You do have the right to express your opinion, and indeed, I'm sure if a groundswell of opinion developed, then MPs would be more encouraged to look at the situation than they are now. At the moment, the MPs in there, you perhaps believe ivory tower, believe that the majority of public do not want cannabis to be legalised. If you can create a groundswell of opinion to change that, if you can inundate your MPs in their respective constituencies with letters to the effect that it should be legalised, I think you'd find that they start sitting up and taking notice. But at the moment, I think they are more concerned that people do not want it legalised.
Yeah, but the situation at present is that you've got a lot of inertia in the system. It shouldn't be the case that you have to.
What do you mean in this context by a lot of inertia?
Well, no, not just with cannabis. That's only one example of the faults of the system we live in. I mean,
we were talking about drugs. That's where it started. You started to propend a theory that legalising cannabis would discourage people from taking hard drugs. That was where you seem to be heading. I doubt the logic of such a theory, but the theory exists.
Well, I mean, to bring up another example, you're saying about the will of the people. I think last year with Live Aid, it was quite clear that a lot of people didn't want the government to take VAT away from the record. Nothing was done about it.
Indeed, nothing was done about it there and then, because, to be perfectly honest, it was impractical to expect it to be done there and then, believe it or not. However, there have been changes in the avenue of charitable donations in the immediate following budget. I think that made quite some sense.
Well, I personally, I don't feel that what the government does, what any government does, of whatever colour, reflects what the people want. They do what they need to do in order to get votes.
Perhaps that's why you're a drug user.
Well, did the chicken before the egg? I mean.
Perhaps you see yourself as above, beyond, outside of society. I don't want to use the word above because that sounds patronising, and on this occasion I choose not to be. I do have the ability to be on occasions. However, you see yourselves as being something different to the rest of us, and you're entitled to make your own rules. Well, fine, go ahead, but I hope they bloody catch you.
But I think it's a case, I don't know quite how intelligent you are. You seem to be more intelligent than the people who ring you up in many cases. But
if you... God, I am.
if you... in terms of political philosophy, it's been proved that there is no justification for a state making any rules. There's no reason why the state can tell me as an individual what to do or not do, in principle.
I'm prepared to accept the principle that the state should not, wherever it is at all possible, involve itself in an individual's freedom of choice, what they do with their own lives, their own bodies, their own minds, and indeed with each other, providing they're both consenting parties.
Yes, sir.
However, the argument you started to present was one where if we remove cannabis as a crime, then people who use cannabis are not on the ladder of criminality. Or criminology? No, it's criminality, isn't it? They're not on the ladder of criminality, therefore they won't go up the next rung. There is, of course, an equally valid argument and equally intangible argument that if a person isn't able to commit the simplistic crime of using cannabis, they will have to find another way for their criminality. So they might end up using hard drugs in greater numbers because it's acceptable to use cannabis. People who use cannabis usually started off, not always, but usually started off smoking when they were under the age of 16. Another crime.
But do you really think people choose to break the law in order to...
No, but it was your theory, John. It wasn't mine. All I did was turn it on its head.
I think the central point is that I don't see why any government should be able to prevent me from doing something which is purely to do with me. It can't harm anyone else. I mean, I think it's clear to anyone who knows a little about cannabis that someone who goes out and gets very, very stoned is far less likely to go out and commit violence, burglary, whatever, than someone goes out and gets very, very pissed.
Now we have a problem.
Alcohol
because
is a legal drug.
Indeed, it is a legal drug.
People to commit violence.
But I actually believe that if alcohol was invented today, it wouldn't be permitted.
Well, I think that's... Well, I don't know, that may be the case, but I think it's completely wrong if it is. Because people should be able to choose for themselves, insofar as their choices don't harm others.
But
I don't see that my smoking cannabis harms anyone else at all.
Indeed.
Apart from possibly, say, my parents, if I ever got caught. And that seems a strange situation for,
it is,
shining
but the law has its idiosyncrasies.
So presumably then, if you agree with that, you should agree that cannabis should be legalised. If you feel
no, I do not say that is one of the idiosyncrasies. We're all doing it now. I do not see it as one of its idiosyncrasies. I believe there is a risk, a very real risk, and a frightening risk, that if we legalise cannabis, we move the people who currently make their illicit living out of cannabis into some other area. I accept your argument that people may well not go on that ladder of criminality that I invented. They may well not take the next rung. However, the people that are marketing it have got to find their extremely profitable income elsewhere. One wonders where.
Presumably the people who are marketing it would continue to do so, and the government would be involved.
Indeed, but they would then become like the tobacco manufacturers and the booze manufacturers, and whilst they would make a lot of money, they wouldn't make the astronomical 120-200% profits that they make at the moment.
Yes,
and
but
that would have to come from elsewhere.
So then a small number of people, perhaps, if your argument's right, it seems reasonable, then a small number of people are going into selling harder drugs. open-ended market for very hard drugs. And you've seen all the designer drugs in Los Angeles at the moment. It's not a thing that can grow ad infinitum. So, I mean, the onus of the law...
I'm afraid we can grow it as much as we need it, and we can grow it considerably more than that. The fact is that supply always manages, in criminal terms at least, always manages to just less than satisfy demand.
Well, I think the thrust of the law should be against people who are clearly out. I mean, people who are hooking young kids on council estates. You know, we read all this stuff in the papers, we don't know how much of it's true, but presumably some of it goes on. The thrust of the law should be against them, rather than people who just socially use soft drugs, people who otherwise are upstanding members of the community.
Perhaps the pop stars of yesteryear who tried to convince us that taking dope was no bad thing actually is a part of the cause of those drug pushers on council estates.
Well, that's why I brought in the argument that legalising cannabis would make it less attractive or less easy for people to slip into the really dangerous ones. I think there's a clear-cut difference between things like heroin, which ultimately kills and in many cases destroys people's lives. It doesn't actually kill them, it wrecks them. And dope, which doesn't seem, I don't know, it's very difficult to say with any of these things, whatever you do, or what effect it has. But people who smoke dope seem to be able to live a normal life and just use it as something they can enjoy. And why should the state be able to step in and make people criminals, and make people go underground?
That is the role of the state. Whether it's good or bad is irrelevant. Allow me to say to you, John, that if you're smoking it, you're putting your life in danger. If you're smoking it.
Well,
make cookies,
tobacco,
for God's
perhaps,
sake.
but then...
Make cookies, at the very least. All right.
Right,
Ta-ra. Stuart will be with you quite soon. Hello, Stuart. We'll be with you now. You're not there anyway. Never mind. We'll talk to Jane after the break.
It's the place to come, where shopping can be fun. The Newmarket Waterloo Road.
Waterloo Road in Blackpool has a number of markets dotted along it, but two of them stand out from the rest, the Newmarket and M2 Market. They're both packed with top-quality bargains to give you peace of mind when shopping. The Newmarket and M2 Market are also convenient because they're directly opposite each other on Waterloo Road, Blackpool. Don't settle for anything else and don't be fooled by imitations. The Newmarket and M2 Market are the original and still the best.
It's the place to come, where shopping can be fun. The Newmarket Waterloo Road.
Glendon Motors, Peugeot, Talbot.
We urgently need good used cars for our used car superstore, so we're giving better than ever part exchange allowances against new Peugeots right now. Call in our showroom and inspect Peugeot quality. Most models come with a choice of petrol, diesel or high-performance engines. Test drive the fabulous 205 or the dreamy new British-built 309. Whichever Peugeot you choose, you'll be glad you came to Glendon.
Glendon Motors, Peugeot, Talbot Superstore.
Blackpool Road, Preston.
For fresh fish and chips around Preston Town Centre to eat in or take away, look for the Happy Haddock sign.
Wherever you are in Preston Town, you're never far from a Happy Haddock.
How do, Jane? How do, Arthur?
Hello, Alan.
Hello. Oh, are you Jane?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we got the wrong line. Hello, Jane, we've got you at last.
I wonder if you could settle an argument for us. Me and my friends have been talking about leather jackets. And could you tell us if the leather that they use for jackets are from slaughtered animals that you eat?
No, not very often.
No.
Not very often.
So they actually kill the animal for the jacket?
They kill the animal for the jacket.
Oh, gosh.
Jacket, exactly. But sometimes it is the case. The hide from a carcass, as it were, is used for leather. But not all leather jackets come from the animal that we've eaten.
Oh, I see.
All right?
Okay, thanks a lot.
Just sounds very disappointed. Hello, Arthur.
Hello again.
Hello again.
Well, we don't all like Colonel Gaddafi.
This is true.
But it seems a bit strong when somebody like Reagan and his government are calling them terrorists when you see what they're doing in countries like Nicaragua. What do you think?
I agree with you entirely. The man is a thug.
Very good. Bye.
Ta-da. How do to Paul?
All right, Alan.
Yes?
I phoned you before, right?
You phone me now. What do you want?
And I got cut off, and then I never put the phone down. And it come back on. Why's that?
I've no idea. I don't work for British Telecom.
Oh, lucky you should get a job for them.
Well, why? I'm making a lot more money where I am, thank you very much. How do Barry? Oh, sorry, Mary, not Barry.
Marion.
Okay, Marion.
Hello, Alan.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say I wish those two people that have been on about experiments on animals had watched Horizon tonight on BBC2. I just had to get up to ring you because I was so incensed about it. They probably would be glad of it. Could I just quote you something out of it?
Feel free, as long as it's not too long.
It's this year a vaccine has reached the crucial stage of testing in monkeys. This is for AIDS, by the way. And a powerful new drug may offer some hope to sufferers. And it showed a monkey has a lot of antibodies, so they were taking some from that. They were going to make a virus and inject another monkey with it, then give it the AIDS to see if it stops it getting. And it also showed another species of monkey that they found that has this virus that doesn't affect it at all. So they want to find out.
Indeed,
how.
there's fairly strong evidence that AIDS started in monkeys anyway.
Pardon?
There's fairly strong evidence that AIDS started in monkeys anyway.
They said that it could have been a bite or a scratch from one of these monkeys that it doesn't affect, that could have started it off. Now, if those two people want to look, if they have the Radio Times, they can read about that. I was in bed last Monday and I was so incensed about that woman thinking, $5,000.
Fine, but Marion, that doesn't actually justify the use of the animal for that experiment. I mean, it does if you believe that animals are less important than human beings, it does. But if you believe that animals are just other animals and man is an animal too, then it doesn't justify it.
I had a dog for 18 years. But
that still doesn't justify it, Marion. The fact that you had a dog for 18 years.
People affected now, it says that.
But that isn't important, is it, in the issue?
No, other things, in jars, these...
Fine, but Marion, the issue is very clear. And that is, it's a straightforward question. At the end of the day, do you believe animals to be less than humans or equal to humans? Now, if you believe they're less than humans, as indeed I do myself, then you can accept a degree of experimentation on them. If you believe they're equal to a human, then you cannot. And that is the issue. What the justification for it is irrelevant. If you believe a monkey, a rat, I'm going to have to list them all now, so that woman will be back on. But any animal, if you believe any animal to be of equal value in the world to a man, I use the generic term, man or woman, then you cannot experiment on them. You cannot justify it, because why should a monkey's life be put at risk in order to save a human being, or 1,000 human beings?
Yes, I know that.
So that's the issue.
I would put life. I mean, it might mean saving a lot of lives. And this monkey that they did take the blood from, it was tranquilized. It was away. It didn't even flinch when the needle went in. It just had the blood taken from.
Indeed, but that doesn't move us any further forward. The question is very clear. Do you believe animals are less important than humans?
Well, I do.
Well, in that case, that is why you are able to accept, as I can myself, that is why you are able to accept an argument that defends experimentation on animals, because they're less than human.
Yes, not for cosmetics, as I say, anything like that, but for this...
Fine, but then you're introducing limitations, but at least you're saying, at the end of the day, you're saying that monkey's life is less important than any man's life or any 1,000 men's lives.
Yes, but it could save a lot of lives.
Indeed, but it's not saving an awful lot of monkeys' lives.
No, well, it didn't.
Right, so it's man's life.
You see, if it does act, it won't kill it. This monkey that they're going to experiment it on, because they're going to.
Yes, and if it doesn't, it'll die of AIDS. If the virus, or if the what's it called?
The vaccine?
The vaccine, that's it, I couldn't think of the word then. The serum was the word I was looking for, but if the serum doesn't work, then the monkey will die of AIDS, right?
Yeah.
But it's still, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that, except it's a bit sad for the monkey.
Oh, yes.
But so be it, it's a damn sight better that we do it to the monkey than to a man.
Yes.
But not everyone agrees with that.
They are doing other things, these cultures in jars and things like that. But I was so incensed to think that they didn't seem to know about this user.
Well, it may well be, Marion, that they do know about it and they believe it's wrong.
Yeah.
Because there are people, I could name half a dozen of them. There's one that used to ring me quite a lot, Chris Talbot, who would say, I'm sorry, it is totally wrong to experiment on animals because those animals are as important in society as human beings. Now, you cannot argue with that. It is his belief and many other people's beliefs.
Well, I'm afraid where I live, I used to collect the RSPCA and things like that, you know, but I've been so sick of being woke up at 4:45 in the morning to after 6. A man has 3 dogs across here, and another one, they leave them out barking, you know.
All right, Marion.
In all
Anyway,
weathers.
it was nice talking to you. You can go back to bed now, love, all right?
Monday. Thank you, Alan.
How do, Darren?
Hello, Alan.
Yeah.
All these young glue sniffers, I'd love to know they got that flowing water from up the nose.
I see.
Yeah, and...
I don't understand that. How do, Peter?
Hello. Just wrong to tell you that Albert was on Piccadilly and he weren't on your show. You know him about Saudi Arabia.
Was he indeed?
Yeah.
There you are, the person's been listening to the wrong show. And yes, because Jim Reeve used to live in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So, madam, if you're still listening, you really are what you said I was. How do, Albert? Thank you very much. How do to somebody else? Caroline.
Hello, Alan. I'd just like to draw your attention to a book called Keep Off the Grass by Gabriel G. Nahas. It's a look at the effects, the biological effects of cannabis on the user, and I feel that your callers have been labouring under the assumption that it doesn't hurt people. And in this book it says that cannabis has a highly cumulative effect, needing weeks to be eliminated from the body. And people seem to feel that this
But
is
is
not
it
true.
dangerous when it's in the body?
Sorry?
Is it dangerous when it's in the body?
Well, yes,
Despite its cumulative effect.
Well, it has irritant smoke, and it has the same effects as
But what if you
alcohol.
get it... I've got to own up here. I've never taken the drug in the sense of sitting down and taking it along with some others. But in a friend's house, I once... This is how I know about hash cookies. I once ate a biscuit at breakfast time, I think it was, about 10 o'clock in the morning, and I was Zoppo. Because I don't use any stimulants to speak of. I don't use tobacco. I don't use alcohol. So things like that affect me rather quickly. And I was a bit Zoppo. But I must admit, I'm still here. I don't feel that I've had any ill effect. Now, if I'd have smoked it, then perhaps I'd have been coughing for a couple of days. But that would have been a voluntary act. Now, the question is, does it do you any harm in the long term, this cumulative effect, as you call it?
Well, having read further on in his book, he does sort of point to the effects on sperm and on the chromosomes within the body, which are mutated. And this would, well, it would lead me to feel that this would have an effect on future generations.
Indeed. Tell me the name of... I've got the name of the book, Keep Off the Grass, by...
It's Gabriel G. Nahas, spelled N-A-H-A-S.
Got to be a Yang, can it?
Yes,
Gabriel G.
indeed.
N-A-H-A-S.
Yeah.
I shall try and get a copy of that. Sounds worth reading. Okay?
Right,
Thank you very much for that information, Caroline.
Okay.
Sleep
Bye.
well. Ta-ra. How do, David?
Hello.
Yeah.
I was at school years ago.
Well, we all were. Can you speak a little louder?
I was at school years ago, and the teacher stood in front and said that, right, I'd like to do a lesson on morals. So we all said, right. He said, right, there's 6 eggs. How many chicks would there be? So one of his friends calls out the class and shouts, he calls out, there's 6 eggs, sir. And I know 2 are broken.
David, we've got a problem, David. We can hardly hear you, mate. I'm awfully sorry. We're going to have to terminate it. We can't hear you. It's all about chickens and eggs and all sorts of other nonsense. Hello, Pat.
Hello, Alan.
Yep.
Just 2 points. First of all, I was going to talk to you about the boxing and, you know, the controversy now going on because of the tragedy with the young boxer who's just died.
Yes.
And, you know, all the things that have been said about blows to the head, and, you know, it does sound pretty terrible when you think about it. But I was listening to the radio earlier on another programme, and they said that the boxing correspondent of the Times newspaper said that we should really think seriously about it, or words to that effect, because, you know, they decided that it wasn't really a good idea for all these blows to the head, and that boxing gloves were originally invented to safeguard the hands of the boxers rather than the head, and all that. Are you listening to me?
Yes.
So there's 2 points here. So having said that, a few years ago, a good few years ago, I decided I quite liked boxing really, because I thought Muhammad Ali, he did something for it. He was a great colourful character. And at the same time, I read in the Sunday Times that boxing was much more scientific now and less harmful and everything. And it just seems to me that it somehow or another, boxing isn't all that it's not really all that safe for young men to indulge in. And it also seems to me that reading the Times, you get wrong information all the while, no matter what you say about people who read
Well, Pat, what was your ultimate decision, or your eventual decision? Are you in favour of boxing or against it? Now.
I'm against it now.
You're against it now. Well,
Yeah.
don't change your mind again. You're right at last. All right, love?
Do you think so?
I know so.
Well, what do you think about people who read the Sun and people who read the Times?
I don't think anything about them. They're free to use and read whatever rag they like.
I agree.
All right,
I
love.
couldn't have agreed with what the Times said years ago.
Okay, bye-bye now. How do, Sharon?
Hello, Alan.
Yeah.
Hello, Alan. Let's say hello to me, mate.
Well, you can't. How do, Roger?
Hello, Alan. I've been out of town for a week and I missed whether you found out the origin of a 99.
Not to our satisfaction. There seems there are about 15 different origins.
Oh, I see.
Sorry.
Oh, and you know the trigger?
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 Yes.
The horse. Did you find out who originally rode that?
Roy Rogers.
Oh, you did? All right.
I knew that one straight away. It was somebody else. It was Bullet we were looking for. Never mind. Good to talk to you, I'm sure. How do, Mark?
Hello, Alan. Can I just have 20 seconds to see if any of your listeners know what this is? Don't cut me off, just listen.
Was it Pathé News?
What do you think that was, Alan?
Was it Pathé News?
No, it was the movies, though. Actually, all I wanted was about a 20-second melodic moment. What it was the big 20th Century Fox, the Searchlights one.
Oh, yes.
With all the lights going across. Actually, what I was gonna say before it come on, but I thought, oh, God, I tried before to get on. You told me to go march. I was gonna say something in a big deep voice like Allan Beswick, superstar, and let it come on, but just sort of to brighten up the show a bit. All right.
It's much brighter now, thank you.
Thanks, Alan.
Bye-bye now.
Ta-ra.
Well, we all feel very bright today. Hello, Ivy.
Percy, take me, give me your body, ravish me.
I prefer the budgie myself. How do, Alan?
Hello, this is Alan, the compulsive gambler.
Hello, Alan, the compulsive gambler once again.
I want to talk about divorce.
I bet you don't.
I do. I think the biggest cause of divorces in this country today?
Go on.
Marriage. Definitely.
Yeah, there's some truth in that.
There's another fact, just before I go off, that you probably won't know, that 50% of all married people in this country
are women. I know, it's frightening, isn't it? Ta-da!
It is.
Not only a compulsive gambler, I think he's had ale tonight. Hello, Kenny.
Kevin.
All right, hello, Kevin.
Hello, Alan.
Yeah.
I was on before, and I was talking about no swedes and onions and all.
Oh, yes, I remember it well. I was bored then and I'm bored now. How do, John?
Hello there.
Yeah.
Just making me cookies. Yeah, you know the woman who's on before about Gabriel G. Nahas?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Fair enough. Dope might have some harmful effects. But compare with alcohol, I mean, Jesus Christ. Look at the number of people
he didn't do too well either, did he?
Yeah, well, sorry about that. Cirrhosis of the liver and all the rest of it. Alcohol is hurting and killing lots and lots of people. And not
that's an argument against alcohol. That's not an argument in favour of dope. Just because people die in air crashes, that doesn't mean to say that we should encourage people to roller skate down the M6.
No, No, but
no. So I'm sorry. Just saying that alcohol kills more people than dope is an argument against alcohol. It is not an argument in favour of dope.
All right, fair enough. Right, if you think the majority of the people in the country wouldn't want dope legalised, and you're probably right, knowing what the majority of people are like. But I think they should see. I mean, people aren't sensible, and they should be. You should get them to see alcohol and dope in the same light. And I don't think most people, because they've... The thing is, the vast
You don't want them seen in the same light. You believe that dope is safer. More
I don't. I mean, I know people...
Well, you don't want them in the same light, then. Anyway, we've done this to death.
All right, cheers.
How do, Rob?
During the war, we were issued with 50 cigarettes a week, when we were serving.
Yes, I know.
Do you think that was a good thing?
On reflection, no. At the time, the ministry actually believed that it might even do you some good. Lack of knowledge.
Well, don't you think that started an awful lot of people on smoking?
Absolutely. I'm certain it did.
Well, what do you think is your opinion on the reason that was done?
The reason it was done was because the ministry actually believed that smoking enhanced your physical and mental well-being. They were wrong, but that was what they believed.
Well, okay, that's, when you come to think back about it, Alan, it was a really bad mistake, wasn't it?
It was a dreadful mistake, but they did not have the information at the time, and mistakes are made when one doesn't have sufficient information to get the answer right.
Thank you very much.
It's okay. Ta-ra.
Ta-ra.
How do, Stuart?
Hello there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a DJ on Piccadilly Radio about 7 years ago, and he was really obnoxious.
John Stanage.
John who?
Stanage.
Yeah. Why are you copying him?
I'm not.
I think you are.
Fine, I am.
Well, is it an easy way of making money?
It's fairly easy, thank you.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I'm a nurse at Prestwich Hospital.
You're a nurse?
Yeah.
Why are you copying all those other nurses?
Well, no.
Why are you copying all those other nurses?
In doing what?
Doing nursing.
Well, no, the thing...
I'm sorry, Stuart, let us come to terms with this.
Yes, come on then.
You suggest that because I do a late-night phone-in that's a bit aggressive, I'm copying James Stanage.
That's right, yeah. That's
well, you're a nurse. Now,
yeah.
Why are you copying all those other nurses?
Because I'm asking the questions.
No, you're not. I'm asking them.
answers.
You're unable to answer them.
No, not at all.
Well, answer it then.
Well, you answer my question first.
No, I've already said, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not copying James Stanage.
Well, all right then. My answer to your question is that I'm not saying the answer that you want me to give.
Your answer to my question, Stuart, is blah, 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 so far.
No, rubbish.
Well, that's exactly what you did say. Rubbish.
Yes.
How do, Andy?
Hello?
Yeah.
I'd like to speak about the boxing.
Well, go on then.
You know that the one who Frank Bruno's supposed to be boxing for the title, he got stabbed, what's his name, with or something.
Go on, I don't know. Carry on.
Don't you know his name?
I don't know anything about boxing, so I have difficulty with knowing people's names involved in boxing. All I know about it is it's pure thuggery.
Alright.
That it?
Yeah, ta-da.
Okay, fine. If you need the name to have the conversation, it seems strange. Never mind, not me to reason why. Hello, Alan.
How do, Alan?
How do?
How do? What can I do for you, Alan?
Very little. In fact, nothing, because you're no longer there. It's 4.5 minutes to 2, which means we've had our final caller this evening. There are those that are pleased about that, there are those that are upset about that, and Stuart thinks I'm James Stanage. Anyway, who cares?
Happy Haddock Fish and Chips.
Wherever you are in Preston Town Centre, you can enjoy fresh fish and chips at a Happy Haddock. It's traditional, it's great value, and it's a balanced meal cooked in the finest vegetable oil. Happy Haddocks are open 6 days to eat in or take away at Loon Street, Cross Street, Church Street and Ormskirk Road, Preston. Also at Bulwood and Lee, with late night Friday and Saturday at Church Street and Ormskirk Road.
Wherever you are in Preston Town, you're never far from a Happy Haddock.
Look for the Happy Haddock sign. It's your guarantee of freshness and quality.
this week's writing competition. We simply want to know who in the 1960s was married to Sonny Bono. They did some music together. If you know the answer, you can win yourself the top 3 albums. All you got to do is put it on a postcard, sealed down envelope, or indeed in a letter. Address it to me, Allan Beswick, Red Rose Radio, P.O. Box 301, Preston, PR11YE. You'll also get a free go at the jackpot if you win, of course. Derek Webster's with you 2 till 6, back to ordinary this week. Well, I say ordinary, I mean normal, I don't mean ordinary. There again, it's not that normal. I'll be back tonight at 10. Till then, have yourselves a ball. Ta-ra!